Well, it's been a little over a week since I published my video talking about the renationalisation of South Western Railway and the wider plans for Britain's rail network. There were some interesting points made in the comments. I didn't agree with all of them, but we'd never learn anything if we lived in echo chambers. There were also a few people who were absolutely outraged that I expressed even cautious optimism about the plan. Oddly enough, people who've never commented on one of my videos before, but apparently expect me to grovel in order to retain their presence. Handy tip: if you've said you're never watching my videos again, I have no reason to pander to you because you're not there. That aside, there is a point a few people made which I do agree with. Namely, that the Great British Railways brand is, well, not great. I don't really like the incorporation of the Union flag into the logo. Generally, I find this flag-waving stuff a bit crass. It's fine for the proms and the Olympics and Remembrance Sunday, special occasions when patriotism is warranted, but putting it everywhere all the time just makes the place look like a souvenir shop. I'm British, I'm in Britain, I'm not going to forget either of those things just because someone isn't waving a flag in my face. We could also bring up the fact that the flag incorporates Northern Ireland, whose railways do not fall under GBR, and indeed have been nationalised for quite some time, I understand. Personally, I don't see what's wrong with leaving it at the old double arrow. It's simple, easy to reproduce, instantly recognisable, unique, timeless, and we're already using it all over the network. If you really want a patriotic logo, there was the first British Railways emblem, which was perhaps a little heraldic and old-fashioned for modern tastes, but the basic concept is pretty good. Sometimes called the cycling lion, it depicted a lion standing astride a wheel. The implication is clear. The lion represents Britain for some reason. The wheel represents the railways. Britain is supported by the railways. Brilliant. Another good one, in my opinion, came from a private operator. EWS, a freight brand that lasted from 1997 to 2009, and controlled the majority of freight sent by rail in Britain. EWS stood for English, Welsh and Scottish. Their logo was named the Big Beastie, or Three Beasties, and consisted of three heraldic animals. The Lion of England — lions are pretty inconsistent in who they represent — the Stag of Scotland, and the Dragon of Wales. You've heard of how to train your dragon, here's how to dragon your train. The great irony in all of this was that EWS was owned by Wisconsin Central, an American company. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that I feel it is possible to come up with a logo that represents the mission of Great British Railways without being so obvious about it. As for the name, my problem with it is that firstly it invites ridicule if the railways are not up to scratch. As I said in my previous video, it will not be possible to fix the problems with the network overnight, although some of the journalists reporting on the renationalisation seem to think it was. Secondly, the name Great British Railways seems kind of old-fashioned. A lot of 19th century railways were known as the Great Something Railway. Probably the most famous was the Great Western Railway, originally built to run from London to Bristol. The current franchise operator has no connection with the original company other than usurping much of their territory. The name Great Western Railway serves several purposes. It's a statement of intent. When the company was founded in 1835, the first mainline railway was only 5 years old. So this was a great undertaking. A line from the capital city to one of the most important ports in the country. Very ambitious. Secondly, it was a PR thing. The GWR needed investors, and it needed to attract passengers. There were plenty of people in the 1830s who were convinced railways were a fad and we'd all go back to the stagecoach as soon as the dust had settled. Being so great, at least nominally, seems to have gone to the company's head. The GWR was the only major company to survive the grouping of Britain's railways in 1923, and even after nationalisation, the former GWR lines tended to do their own thing. But the Great Western wasn't the only great company. There was the Great Northern, which connected London with the North Eastern Railway, which in turn connected with the North British Railway. This provided a route from London to Edinburgh. Hitherto it was possible to get from London to Edinburgh by rail, but via a very indirect route, thanks to the machinations of railway magnate and fraudster George Hudson. The Great Northern, which he opposed, would provide a fast and direct East Coast route that's still in use today. Once again, the name is a statement of intent. We had a Great Eastern as well. I talk about it quite a lot. Unlike the Great Western and the Great Northern, the Great Eastern was not a new railway. The railways of East Anglia were kind of a money pit. There wasn't much heavy freight around there, which was really what made money back then. Several of those companies merged in 1862 to form the Great Eastern Railway. So here the name was fairly literal. It was great in that it was made up of lots of small lines. If you're wondering, the Great Eastern Railway was still a money pit, but it was kept afloat by the enormous demand for commuter trains in East London. There was the Great North of Scotland, which ironically was a relatively small Scottish company. I say relatively, it did have over 300 miles of track. It was formed to connect Aberdeen to Inverness, but like so many companies, had trouble raising the money. This is another of those names that we can chalk up to propaganda. Finally, there was a latecomer, the Great Central Railway. It was, from an investment point of view, not so great. It was originally the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway, but in 1897 it changed its name because in 1899 it reached London. But at this time there were several other ways of getting from London to the north. It became the only main line to be closed under the beaching cuts during the British Railways era because it was considered so redundant. But now we're getting High Speed 2, whose purpose is to increase capacity on the main lines, capacity which we lost when the Great Central closed. Mistakes were made. Under privatisation there have been franchise holders that used great names. There have been revivals of old names, as with the Great Western. Some of you might remember GNER, or Great North Eastern Railway, predecessor of the current LNER, or London and North Eastern Railway. Both of them took their names from the old London and North Eastern Railway, which absorbed the Great Northern, Great Eastern, Great Central and Great North of Scotland railways, among several others. I don't know exactly what point I was trying to make. I guess that to me, Great British Railways feels like a relic of a name. It's looking to the past at a time when we need to be looking to the future. It's turning inward at a time when we need to be looking at what the rest of the world is doing. The past is a fine place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Well, I do hope you enjoyed today's video, which was another rambling and opinionated piece. If you did, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the greatness to my Victorian Railway. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.